So there is a C patch that drops in about an hour or two. Noon PT is when it was supposed to be going live. I don't know if it's actually live yet or not, but the patch notes are out, and I'm gonna do a quick rundown. Doo-doo-doo. Fill out all this random stuff. We plan to be patch for 6, but some bugs may have stuck by, so this is probably not a big one. I don't know. Is this for next full patch is coming January 7th, so this is going to be live for 3 weeks. This is a 3 week patch after this. So this is not going to be a huge one, right? But this is the 3 week patch. I'd say in general, like these Christmas patches don't tend to be very good, but because the previous patch I'd say is like really, really good. As long as they don't like do something really grief, for the most part this 3 week patch is gonna be good. Bilgewater performed too well, even the black market just saw. We're going to be lowering the power ceiling to better match off other servant options, which should have a little more power. Okay. Noxians suck. Sure. Yordle nerfs. Fast 9 Yordle nerfs. Shot. Add bigger buff to reroll Yordle shots. Sure, that doesn't matter. Barnacles nerf. Not a huge one. But it's still big. It's like what? About a 1 component nerf for a... Items should be in the ballpark of like 6 to 7 components. If they're stronger like this, probably in the 7. This is like pretty big. But yeah, okay. This is a big nerf, honestly. Citrus. Citrus is not a big nerf. This is actually a really small nerf, I would say. This is just like fine. You get less serpents, but it's fine. Like 10 less per round. But it's in the late game, so it matters less. 100 HP is pretty low because the effect of this item is what makes it really good. 10 Bilgewater nerf probably doesn't matter. 10 Bilgewater we're still gonna win every game. 7 Noxus buff, like I don't even know what this does, to be honest. Can't imagine this will be good outside of like some weird you have a spat. You have a spat line. Doesn't seem like it'd be that good, but maybe like I don't know. So in PBE, what would happen is like if you got the triple spat galaxy or portal, what would happen is you would get to play like 7 Noxus in the mid game to transition to Mel, which then was the strongest comp. So there's probably more of that here a little bit, but I don't think because they're not buffing 5 Noxus. Not that I'm saying 5 Noxus needs a buff. I don't really think this does much. And 10 Noxus, who cares? Yordle 3-star again, not huge. But sometimes, maybe this better incentivizes you to go for like Cannon 3, Koboko 3 when you're playing around the good Yordle line. Which actually does something, I guess. Because those units are already pretty good, and you definitely want to keep them. You're only running into gold issues, so if you do like a double Econ Yordle strat where you're going like fast 8, fast 9, or if you're playing like around the Yonara line, it probably makes more sense to go for like Cannon 3, Koboko 3. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure if I'm playing around Yonara, I'm just gonna like more aggressively go for Cannon 3 and Koboko 3. Because I already think they're really strong. I'm gonna give this a try, and then you can probably like Thieves Gloves them, or just like put your full tank items on them, and it's probably fine. They're probably still less tanky than like 2-star 4 costs, or like definitely 2-star 5 costs. Not that there's too many 2-star 5 costs tanks, but like Tibbers, for example. But yeah, they're definitely still less tanky, but they provide a lot of utility, so it's probably fine. They're probably more powerful. Like Cannon 3 and Koboko 3 should be 2-star 5 cost levels of power, right? If not a little bit higher. It's probably lower if I'm just kind of thinking about it, because like obviously they don't do damage, and at the end of the day, damage is kind of king. But they should be close to 2-star 5 cost levels of utility power, right? Apparently, this is a 50 HP buff if you're playing 2 Yordles. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot, but yeah, in fact that sounds tiny. But like that's not that bad, honestly. If you're playing 2 Yordles, like 50 HP buff on 2 units, scales with the items you give them. It's like okay, that's probably not that big, but I'll probably still like I'm probably underplaying 3-star Cannon and 3-star Koboko anyway, so this probably makes sense to do either way, right? Like this is just like a minor buff anyway. On top of like I'm already underplaying them, so maybe I should just like play them more, especially in the Yunara line. Like there was one game where I played Cannon 3 and it felt like fantastic. Um, Tilted Registry is a worst performing trait when not used as a splash, but it's probably their best performing trait when used as a splash. Anyways, we're adjusting the core units. Sure, Caitlyn is horrible. maybe not this horrible. Caitlin's also a pain in the ass in the early game, which I don't really like, to be honest. I don't really like buffing her that much because when she snipes your carry, it's really annoying. Someone is the worst unit in the game, like literally. So I don't know if this buffs are enough. It's a big buff though, right? 10 over 12, 8%. 15 over 180. Also roughly about 8%. 8% buff on damage though, but she has some utility on healing. I mean, her healing utility is like really low. I think her numbers are really low. Can't imagine this being enough to make her good, but we'll see. I mean, Anivia is good, so maybe the use case is the fact that like Sona and Anivia together will be good, but I don't really see it. Ori, huge buff. Huge buff. Just don't think it matters. It's hard to unlock her, so it doesn't really matter. One card that was missing was reroll Yasuo. Sure. Yeah, okay, so I did a first passover on this kind of patch notes earlier, and this was one of like the scary things that stood out to me because Yone is really strong, Bel'Veth is really strong. I mean, Aatrox sucks, so maybe that holds like some sort of vertical Slayer setup back because you never really want to play more than 2 Slayer, so you're always just going to be playing Yasuo Yone, and the Yasuo Yone comp you already play vertical Ionia, so maybe that doesn't matter. But this is like a huge buff. Like 7 AD at 1 star is completely massive. It's like a 9% buff, completely insane. At 2 star, it's still 7 AD, which is like much smaller, but the 3 star is also not that bad. But like he's much more usable at 1 star now, and the 3 star is already like close to being good just because of how good Yone is. I have to imagine this is like one of the only things that would like actually shake up anything in the meta. But we'll see. I think this one is probably the only one like really worth looking out for, but that's okay. Okay, this one is probably the scariest buff in the entire patch, IMO. Like, this actually shakes up the meta. This does not shake up any meta at all, but this just makes Mundo really strong, like, on stage 2. So, I've been saying this for, like, the past, like, week, honestly, where if you actually have items on Mundo, he's completely unkillable. I ideally have a mana item on him, and they just, like, turbo buffed his mana, so not only does he, like, ult, he actually probably ults twice in a fight. He can't ult 3 times just because he's mana locked for so long, so you're not really going to go for, like, some weird 3-cast Mundo. Also, like, any 3-cast Mundo, probably you already win the fight anyway, but yeah, like, most stacked Mundos are gonna cast twice, and if you just put items on a Mundo 1 on stage 2, he's probably unkillable. Like, not that many people have anti-heal on stage 2. Pretty sure this thing is completely broken, but there's no comp that plays him, so I don't think it's gonna be, like, tearing out the meta or anything. It's just, I would look out for Mundo 1 on stage 2, and, like, Mundo 2 on stage 3, and stuff like that. Even Mundo 2 on stage 4 is probably reasonable before you start upgrading some of your late game units. This is kind of just completely whatever to me. I mean, this is a massive buff in terms of like her tankiness, but like I just don't even see, like, as someone who's played Shadow Isles a lot in PBE as well as like a couple times on live, this just doesn't feel like it moves the needle much. So whatever. LeBlanc minor buff. LeBlanc has really good traits in Noxus and Invoker, so any buff to LeBlanc is just good for being able to play around LeBlanc in the early mid game. Easy to unlock 3 cost that carries your AP items in mid game, especially if you're playing for like Mel or something. So this is actually just a big buff. Yeah, LeBlanc's like pretty weak, but she's not like so weak that you would lose every fight, and she's just a decent AP holder. And this in conjunction with the Sona buff, as well as Anivia being good, could actually mean something. I don't know if this results in a reroll comp emerging. What's that? 50 out of 580, so let's just go 8.5% buff, give or take. Maybe that's just on primary. On secondary, it's a lot lower, so it's probably, let's just give or take, like, they probably meant for this to be a 5% buff. 5% buff, I don't think is enough to make LeBlanc 3 a real reroll threat. But yeah. Lux tends to spend more time being sold for Solace. Yep. Probably still will be spent more time being sold for Solace. This just makes Vayne Vertical Demacia better, which is already a real comp. But like, Lux is a reasonable unit. I don't know how much of this buff is necessary. I actually think Lux is actually a pretty reasonable unit. Like, Lux actually kind of performs when you itemize her. It's just she doesn't have a comp. I think her main issue is just, like, she just doesn't have a comp. But whatever. I think this is, like, pretty sizable. Like, I'll play Lux as a random item holder every so often. But she just doesn't have a comp, right? I think as a unit, she's, like, perfectly fine. Like, I'll play her on, like, as a unit, 2 Arcanist on random boards, and she'll do fine for, like, a couple rounds. Misfortune 3 nerf, absolutely necessary. Misfortune 3 was a 3-star 5 cost level of power, almost. Nasus buff. I've been saying this guy is completely garbage. People don't believe me. People seem to think he's really strong as a tank. This is a huge buff. Nasus actually probably is good now, and I've been playing around, like, 2 and 3 Shurima more frequently in the past couple of days. It's probably very good for that. And, like, this just makes, like, the Shurima flex boards perform better, honestly, because, like, instead of having to use, like, Taric or Swain as a tank, you can hit Nasus, and Nasus is, like, really, really easy to hit, because, like, no one else unlocks him, pretty much, as well as, like, you get one for free, whereas, like, Taric and Swain, you obviously don't. Rift Herald, big nerf, huge nerf to Rift Herald, actually. I don't know if this kills Void, as it shouldn't. Like, Void does not need to be killed. It's probably, like, one of 2 S tier comps, but, like, this is a really big nerf, honestly. I hope this doesn't kill Void, but I'm sure a lot of people watching hopes that this kills Void. Skarner, like, who cares? I guess this does something, but I don't really understand. I don't really understand Skarner that well because I don't play around him that much. But Skarner's like a decent splash, but he's like his unlock condition is so terrible because you have to slam a Stoneplate. Stoneplate sucks. I don't know. I don't think this moves the needle anywhere. Like, Skarner's already good when he's good, if you have him unlocked for whatever reason, and, like, otherwise he's kind of bad. Singed Heal, it's terribly minor nerf to Singe, honestly. Not that he's meant to be a damage unit, so maybe, like, his tankiness going up by however much this makes him go up, which is a decent amount, 15 out of 50, it's kind of a lot of healing. I mean, maybe this just makes him a decent amount more tanky, and he's actually playable, but, like, and then you can play Juggernaut with, it's really easy to fit Juggernaut, obviously, there's, like, a lot of good Juggernauts in the game. Between Nautilus having a 2 traits, like 2 frontline traits, between Cho'Gath being very strong 2-cost unit, obviously Swain goes without saying, and then Shyvana goes without saying, so could see ways to play this, but I doubt it. Aurelion Soul buffs, probably still garbage. Not even gonna think about that too much. Probably still garbage. T-Hex buff, that's huge. 20% buff on 2 cost, 2-star. Is this enough? Probably not to play more than like you're probably still not playing this outside of Piltover Spat, but that is a huge buff at 2-star. Probably more playable. I mean, I think you're still playing this with, like, if you have Piltover Spat, you always play TX. If you don't have Piltover Spat, I still don't see how you'd be playing this too much. Darkened Bow, massive nerf, thank God. Probably still broken. Actually, definitely still broken, especially on Bel'Veth. Darkened Scythe, that's a huge buff. And Darkened Staff, probably not enough of a buff. Maybe enough of a buff, I doubt it. But Darkened Bow is probably still broken. Just, because this is the AD, right, not attack speed. Does it give AD attack speed or AD crit? I think it gives AD attack speed. But, and yeah, I'm pretty sure this shit is still completely broken, right? Taking it past, they buffed like a bunch of these random, like this doesn't move the needle. I don't think this Augments gonna be that good. It's just still good when you take it. Big Friend, 1 durability, still bad. Don't like having to position around Big Friend. This Augment seems really broken. It's just the Econ Prismatics on 2-1 or 2 broken. So probably bad. Crash Test Dummy still seems bad. I'm surprised they buffed all of these. I think people were taking these from like a bad spot. So maybe they reflected poorly in the stats. But I take these like fairly often when they give you a completed item that you really want. So I'm happy to see these get buffed because I take them a lot, but maybe these are unnecessary. I imagine they're averaging like a 4.8 if these are true, and then these will probably bring them to like a 4.6, maybe even higher, 4.4. No, there's no way they're a 4.4. Maybe like a 4.5. So these are just probably more takeable, but I already take them a lot. Promise Protection, still garbage. Stoneplate, still garbage. Spirit's Will, same idea as the other ones. Golden Dragon, still garbage. Win Out, still broken. Woody Axiom, yeah, this thing was completely terrible, but so they removed it, fixed an issue. Where Ophelios Echo Trinamere and would not interact with what? Okay, so this is why IE Kindred was horrible. I see. That makes sense. Okay, well, thank God they buffed that. Fix an issue where Otacon would become untargetable after he dies to enemies. Okay, interesting. Okay, well, that's the patch rundown. Yeah. Until next time, I am out.